YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with some updated power rankings just before week 10 of the NFL. I'm back every single week with updated power rankings. We also got different prediction videos throughout the week. Our weekly pick'ems are tonight, which is Tuesday, November 6th. That should be fun. We got Friday night live streams. I think this Friday we will have our guys predict the rest of the season. Who's going to win each division, who's going to make the playoffs, the 6 seeds, who's going to win the Super Bowl, and so on. And we have an updated mock draft this week. I'm trying to get that done. Everyone wants it, so I'm working on it. But we got our power rankings here. Good amount of changes. It was tough to figure out who deserves the top spot. So we'll see. Bottom 8. The bottom 2 look the same. Raiders last, Giants second last. I don't see the Raiders moving from that spot. We'll see though. Bills moved down currently with Peterman. They're just terrible. You can see the Niners shoot up to 26. Mullins played one game. He looked good. And, they played the Raiders, who are the worst team in football. But they dominated them. All of these other teams you could say that are below them would also dominate the Raiders in that situation. Maybe. But the Niners actually went out and did it. And on a weekly basis, that shoots them up. The Jets, Browns, you can flip those if you want to. The Jets have been playing pretty poor. Darnold is off his game, very inaccurate, throwing a lot of interceptions. Not too many changes besides the Niners moving up. The Broncos in the bottom 8, they're at 25. Talent-wise, they shouldn't be anywhere near this. They should be well ahead of 25, but bad decisions, coaching-wise, brings them down here. So there's your bottom 8 of the week. Next 8. Lions 24. I thought about Lions could be 25. You can flip those. The Lions are, 2 weeks ago I hyped them up. They were looking good, and the last 2 weeks they look pretty bad. This last week against the Vikings, it was really bad. No one really played good. Couple guys maybe on the D line played okay. Darius Slay maybe, but man, they're supposed to be an offensive team, and they can't get any offense going, and that's just unacceptable, really. And after watching the game, anybody that watched the game, it was pretty obvious the line didn't play good. The receivers, they didn't have long to get open, but they couldn't get open. They needed to get open quick. Stafford didn't play good, stepped up to sacks, didn't play good. But after going over and watching again, I got to put more blame on Stafford and the offense and the coaching staff on the offensive side, because it looked like the Vikings kind of just knew what plays they were running, and credit to them, but they were lining up like the play was very obvious, and they happened to be right on a lot of plays. Why isn't Stafford changing the play at the line? Very questionable. Something I noticed after the fact. Cowboys at 23. Everything went wrong for the Titans early in that game, and the Cowboys couldn't capitalize, so very disappointing. Rough schedule coming up. That trade for Cooper, even though he's a heck of a receiver, is kind of looking questionable. It's going to start looking more and more like that. Could the Raiders get a top 10 pick out of that? That could be wild. My mock draft, again, coming soon this week, trying to get it done. A lot of good players. Very interesting. Buccaneers, 22. They still got some good offense, still make mistakes. That defense is rough, but they can win some games based on their offense. They started to come back against the Panthers a little bit, but they're down at 22. The Colts move up for other teams playing poor and them having a bye. Let's see what they can do this week. Jaguars, I think, moved just a little bit for having a bye and other teams looking bad. But you expect the Jaguars to figure it out. I don't know if they're going to be anywhere near what they were last year, but it could happen. The Packers fall to 19. Yeah, they've had some tough opponents. And they played the Patriots, and they could have won that game. It wasn't for that Aaron Jones fumble. But really, I don't know if they didn't really play a good game, honestly. Their defense had that stop at the half-yard line. That was impressive. I'm impressed with their rookie corners, but, nothing special quite yet. Aaron Rodgers, I thought, had a bad game. Underthrew a lot of balls. And, the play calling's not great. The receivers aren't great. Their line let up more pressure than usual, so it's not all on him, obviously. But they didn't really play that good of a game, and they could have won it. So that is a good thing. If they play their game, they could win those games. So I guess that's a positive. 18, the Ravens, they're on a losing streak. Not looking good. They got a good defense, but the thing with the Ravens, is that it's an offensive league now. Offense wins championships as it looks now, and they don't have it on offense. So that's very unfortunate. And this, a couple years ago, this is a way better than number 18 team, but I think this is where they're going to end up being in the middle of the road as we projected before the season because they lack the offensive firepower, really what it is. Seahawks at 17, tough loss to the Chargers. I guess they made it look a little closer than it really was, but they can still play. They had a good win 2 weeks ago, so they didn't drop too much. On to the next 8 teams. We got the Dolphins at 16, good win against the Jets, but, it wasn't a great win. Still got a pretty solid record. They're still fighting for the playoffs. Titans at 15, after the 2 fumbles, the Titans played like the Titans. They played like they should. Mariota played like he can play like that. That's his game, except for that missed throw to Corey Davis. Other than that, and the fumbles early, he made some ridiculous throws and was able to move around like he should. And they kind of been keeping that from him. And the RPO, the read option, they've been staying away from that, and it works out. It works out very good. That's what they should have been doing. So, that's more of the Titans team we expected. That defense is very good. They're now first in points per game allowed on defense. Very impressive. The whole linebacker unit, they missed Wesley Woodyard. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago. Maybe they miss Woodyard. Maybe he's actually their best player, and he's a heck of a player. And they were struggling to stop teams on third down, and it's because they were missing him. Jayon Brown's good. Harold Landry, what a steal in the draft. We knew that was a steal. Kevin Byard's one of the best safeties in football. Again, he had some big plays. Take away the interception, he had some good plays. D-line was playing good. Impressive. They got to limit the mistakes, though. Redskins at 14, they fall a little bit from that big loss to the Falcons. Unfortunate injuries on the O-line. They're still a solid team, but things can go south because of those injuries. Not looking good there. Defense did not play where they were playing earlier in the year in that game. A little disappointing. They don't fall too much, though, because still a solid team, still a good record. Eagles at 13. Expect the Eagles to start climbing this now. Even though they haven't really been too good. It was tough to move them up to 13, but I felt like it kind of had to be done because the other teams really aren't playing too good. Falcons make probably the biggest jump of the week to 12. The Falcons look like they're back, scoring points, playing some solid defense. Their game plan was good against the Redskins. The Falcons can start climbing. I don't know if they're going to contend for a Super Bowl like I thought they would before the season because of all their injuries that were very unfortunate. But they're starting to figure it out and come back. And other teams have injuries too now. Earlier in the season it was pretty much just the Falcons that had the devastating, the big impact injuries. But some other teams are kind of catching up with them with that. Maybe that actually helps them a little bit. But they're starting to get their game back. Very impressive. The Bengals are at 11. I think they're around the same spot as last week. Maybe moved down one spot. Looking forward to see them after the bye. The Vikings are 10. The Vikings defense looked like it was bad. Their defense is starting to figure it out. Everyone thinks it's back. I don't know. I thought after great game, 10 sacks. Daniel Hunter right now could be the defense MVP. The coverage was good, but after going back and look at it, I thought it was really on Stafford and decision making and not changing the play at the line. So we'll have to wait and see if the Vikings defense is actually back. They gotta limit their mistakes. So we know it's a good team based on the talent they have. But they got to show us more. And number 9 is the Bears. And other power rankings have the Vikings ahead of the Bears. The Vikings have more talent. I guess, the Bears can win the NFC North, but the Vikings, I guess, are better against other contenders down the road. Maybe that's why they have them ahead of them. But it's really hard for me to put the Vikings ahead of the Bears right now after the Bears are rolling. Big win over Buffalo. The Vikings lost to Buffalo. The Bills team was a little different, but the Bears really, really destroyed them. Other power rankings have the Vikings out of the Bears. I don't know if I agree with that at the moment. Moving on to the top 8. Texans, number 8. They're rolling. It hasn't looked super pretty. Broncos could easily beat them, but they're rolling. Win's a win. They're gaining momentum. They're gaining that winning attitude, the confidence. Let's see if they can keep doing it. They're number 8. Steelers pretty much in the same spot at 7. The Steelers could be beat, but at the end of the day, they're rolling. Their defense is getting better. That's what stands out to me. Number 6 is the Chargers, pretty much the same spot. They're also winning. Hasn't been really super pretty, but they're winning, and they're a good football team. Moving on. 5 through 3. Panthers at 5. I like this Panthers team a lot. I think the top 5 are the clear top teams. The Chargers and the Steelers right there with them. They're right there with them. We expect And teams like the Texans and the Bears, they're rolling, they're feeling it. But we expect the teams like the Vikings, the Falcons, the Eagles to get back up there towards the end of the year. Maybe the Titans, if they play like that. Maybe the Packers, the Jaguars. Could they climb back up? But I like the Panthers a lot. Very impressive offense. Cam Newton has been MVP caliber, and he now has weapons with him on that team. The defense is a question, but these other teams ahead of them that are also in the same category, the elite teams of this year, they're all in the same boat. Great offenses, weak defenses. It's a weird season in the NFL. 4 is the Rams. They dropped from 1 to 4. It was tough to do that, but defense was, mainly in the first half. In the first half, that was probably one of the weaker defense performances I've seen this year. They need to keep Talib back, but also they need to do better everywhere else. Marcus Peters got to play better, but stopping the run, they got to play better. There was some giant holes. Credit to the Saints offensive line, the best in football so far. There's other pretty good offensive lines, though. But yeah, and I got to go back to the Panthers. Their offensive line was projected one of the worst in the league, and it's been just fantastic. Speaking of offensive lines, the Rams' offensive line's great, too. It's up there. Patriots as well. But yeah, I'd move the Rams down to 4. The Patriots are at 3. They weren't really super impressive in the win. Guys stepped up, made some plays. They had some injuries. No Gronk, no Michelle, so that's the upside. They beat the Packers by 2 scores without those guys. In Shaq Mason, that was a big loss. Some pressure was coming up the middle on Brady. Brady didn't really play a great game. The last 2 wins haven't been super impressive, but they're still one of the best teams, maybe the best team in football. But they come in at 3. In the top 2, I was back and forth with the top 2. I really was. I really was. And since this is power rankings, I was going to say, weekly power rankings, it's a week-by-week basis. We're living in the now. So many different people do power rankings, like based off predicting the end of the season and stuff. Since that's how I always viewed power rankings, I have to stick with that. So I went with the Saints at 1, the Chiefs at 2. The Saints have very impressive wins. They just beat number 1. They beat the Vikings in Minnesota a week ago. Very, very impressive. Something in me just thinks the Chiefs right now are actually the best team in football. Looking forward down the road, I think their young talent on defense is going to step up throughout. The Saints, if they get healthy, they need Davenport back, can. But the Saints deserve to be 1 right now. More impressive wins. That Chiefs team is scary, though, so very impressed with them. We got a battle. We have ourselves a battle really in the top 4. And then the Panthers could really sneak in there. The Chargers, the Steelers can sneak in there. I mentioned the other teams that we expect to climb up by the end of the season. But very interesting. Really, if you can shuffle that top 4, maybe even 5 around anyway. And I really couldn't argue with you too much. But I'm pretty firm on the top 2. Those are the 2 teams that need to be in the top 2. But things can change in a week, based on how, even if all those teams win next week, things can change based on how they win, who they beat, how they look, and that's really why the Saints just have to be 1 for me. Even though the Chiefs versus the Saints I would love to see that. Could that be the Super Bowl matchup? Right now it looks like it, but that would be too obvious. We know how the NFL works, so we'll see. We'll get some predictions out this week. Maybe it'll be a live stream thing. I want to get the other guys involved on Friday, so we'll predict who the 6 teams are making the playoffs. Everybody's different opinion, so you get to see different views on that. So that's why it's fun. Mock draft is coming. I'm working on that, trying to get it out ASAP because I know everyone's asking about it. And man, I'm starting to make my position rankings already. It's way too early, but I'm starting to make my position rankings, my mock draft, and I'm getting excited about, the draft's the best day of the year for me and a lot of people out there. And it's way too early for me to get excited, but I'm excited for the Raiders. Not a Raiders fan. 3 picks. They're going to get a good pick with their own, obviously, and the Cowboys pick. If you're a Raiders fan, it sucks this year, but you got to be getting excited for that. It's going to be a fun day of the draft. But we'll see. That's our power rankings video. Stay tuned for different prediction videos throughout the week. Mock drafts, Friday live stream, all kinds of fun stuff. Thanks for everyone's support. Subscriber goals 10K. Please help us get there if you haven't clicked that button yet. And clicking the like button will also be much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.